welcome to the Kronau Heritage Museum. Behind me I have our main museum building. For those of you that do not know, we are situated in the hamlet of Kronau. We're only actually 15 minutes outside of Regina. And this building behind me here is a church that currently houses our museum exhibit, and behind me you'll see now, right there, is our early 1900s schoolhouse that we actually moved onto our property, and we are in the midst of restoring. So if you come along with me inside, I'm going to give you a short tour of our current exhibit, Simple Fun. So, the exhibit Simple Fun has been part of our exhibit now this is going on to our third year. And the theme around Simple Fun is just that, simple fun. We were looking at fun and engaging ways that people used to spend their time, right? Before we had all of our smartphones and video games, people used to just have good old family fun. And we have a number of pictures here. I'm sure some of you still recognize some of these really fun activities. And I'm sure you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, I still do that stuff. And that's what we love celebrating. And we love hearing from our community about all the fun things that you still do that's considered simple fun. Can you think of some fun things you used to do? Now in here we have a number of exhibit items. Again, these were games that people had. So we had this fun hands down hand slapping game, Chinese checkers. We had some comic board games with some of the favorite icons of the time. The Waltons here, some puzzles. Do you guys recognize those characters? Donald Duck and Pluto. Spirograph, Tinker Toys, Twister. Are there any games in here that you used to play? Now, believe it or not, technology was around in the 1970s and 80s. It just looked a little bit more different. So this first one here is a speak and read, and it helped kids to learn their spelling words. And it would ask you to spell a word, and then when you spelled it, it would give you points or celebrate you learning your new words. And this is a fun memory game, and it would light up and you would have to try to memorize the order that they would light up. Here are some more fun items. We call these artifacts. An artifact is an item that you include in a museum that's from the past. And these are some items that were donated from our local community to add to our Simple Fun exhibit. Some of you might recognize some of the books we have on display, even some of the toys maybe. Some of these toys actually are coming back and being sold in stores again. Right? These are some smaller pocket games that kids used to be able to play with. We have some magnetic games. Some fun coins, a pinball machine, marbles, pickup sticks, and even some little figurines to play with. Who doesn't like candy? Do you recognize some of these fun treats from our past? I know there's some stores in Regina that still sell some of these items. What's your favorite candy? Do you think that when you're older, your kids would still be able to enjoy those same sweet treats? Believe it or not, sports are part of our Simple Fun exhibit because, again, you just needed to get together with some friends and you could have a lot of fun. We decided to showcase some of the local sports that took part in our community, and we have some great artifacts that belong to people that they shared. Because some of these items, though baseball and hockey have been around for a long time, some of the sports equipment sure looks different. Like the ball glove looks different than the ones that we use today. And look at those skates. Could you imagine skating on those now? Now, as I mentioned, we're from the town of Kronau. And if we're known for anything, it is curling. Curling has had quite a history in our very small hamlet. And we have had a number of people compete in various curling championships, the Briar, and even the Scotties, which is pretty remarkable. If you ever come to Kronau and visit, be sure to go to our Kronau curling rink and you can see some of the amazing banners of our accomplishments. Now this is something that's new. I'm sure not many of you, I know I hadn't heard of it before. This is called a quilting bee. And basically people would get together and they would all work together on making a quilt. And what's really interesting is we can kind of connect to what's going on in our world right now, because it says, in remote or isolated areas, meetings for the quilt bee helped overcome the loneliness so many pioneer women often experience. So they would get together and it would be a social event and they'd all work together to make one big quilt. Maybe you can talk to your families at home and you might even have some quilts that people have made for you before. I think it's sometimes fun to draw a bunch of different pictures and you can glue them all together and make your own paper quilt. So a ViewMaster is really cool. How it works is you have this neat contraption, and what you do is you look through the hole, and through it you can see a picture that's shown on this little disc inside. And this one is from around the 1980s, but this activity or this technology has been around for a long time. And you can see in our display case here, we have a much older version as well. And it kind of gave you an opportunity to see things that you might not have been able to experience. It's kind of like a VR headset from a long time ago. Now this is kind of similar to our ViewMaster. This though is called a stereoscope. And basically, again, it had where you can look through the goggles. I'm kind of showing you a view. And you could see a variety of images, right? And you can see here, if I show you on the side, you can see there are two different pictures, but when you look through, you're actually only seeing one. It's neat how our eyes can work together to kind of play a trick on our brain, hey? We highlighted some of the fun entertainment pieces from the different decades. So this one's from the 1950s and 60s. You might be able to ask your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa if they might recognize some of these different TV shows and musicians. I know some of you might have even heard of some of these because we still listen to them today, right? Or maybe you're able to watch them on some of the different streaming sites. And we move on now to the groovy 70s. And we see shows like Charlie's Angels, and the Carol Burnett Show, the Brady Bunch, and even MASH. Some of the hit toys were Hot Wheels. Some of you might have a whole bunch of Hot Wheels at home, hey? And an Atari playing system. And this is where we started seeing video games making a presence in our pop culture world.
Well, that wraps up our very short tour of our Kronau Museum. It sure is fun to look back on history and look at all the neat things people used to do. Can you think of some fun things that you could do that would be simple fun? Could you go outside with your family and play with some sidewalk chalk? What could you create? I saw some pretty cool things that people are making outside. Some people are making hopscotches. They're creating some amazing works of art. They're making snakes and ladders on their driveway. And some people are even making huge game boards like the Monopoly game along their whole community. What could you do? Why don't you post down in the comments some of your own ideas? That would be a lot of fun to share, don't you think? So I thought it would be fun for us all to have a little simple fun of our own. What we'll do is we're going to make a really easy craft that together as a family, and then you'll be able to use this craft to play some simple fun games. How many of you have ever heard of tic-tac-toe or X's and O's? It used to be one of my favorite games to play to pass the time when we're waiting at a restaurant or waiting in line for something, because all you needed was a piece of paper and a pen. Well, how fun would it be to play this outside? So what we're going to do is we are actually going to be making tic-tac-toe with rocks.
To do this activity, all you need are 10 rocks. They don't need to be big rocks at all. Various shapes and sizes. You can maybe go on a walk with your family and pick up 10 different rocks. Okay, they're about the size of a quarter or a loonie. Okay, then we're going to need some paintbrushes, some paints, doesn't matter the color. I like to use acrylic paints. I have a glass of water here for washing off my paintbrush. I use paper plates to put my paint on. These are just old ones for my kids' birthday parties. Paper towel to wipe my paintbrushes off. And then when we're all done painting our rocks and they're dry, I grabbed some clear coat spray. And that just makes sure that if your rocks get left outside, the paint doesn't wash off of them.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this craft with you. I have my 2 kids here who are going to be painting their rocks. The important thing is that each set of 5 rocks, we have 10 rocks in total, 5 rocks are going to be painted with one picture or symbol, and the other 5 will be painted with a different. So you could do 5 X's and 5 O's. You could do 5 ladybugs and 5 flowers. My kids have chose their own symbols that they are going to paint on their rocks.
Okay, so what are we going to be painting on our rocks?
I'm gonna be painting X's.
You're going to paint a bunch of X's, and what are you painting on your rocks?
I'm painting a peace sign, not like this one, but the circle.
The one in the circle, okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to, it doesn't really matter the colors that you pick. You can pick out any colors you want, but you want your symbols to be the same on each of the rocks, okay?
Red.
Done painting your rocks, we're going to take that clear coat paint. Hairspray also works if you don't have any clear paint at home. It's just going to seal the paint on it and make it a little bit more waterproof. So just give a nice and easy coat. on the rocks.
Are we going to do the other side?
Yeah, and then when they are dry, you can flip them over and do the other side of the rocks. Once it's dry, you're good and ready to play some tic-tac-toe. Well, that concludes our video for today. I hope you had fun. I hope we introduced you to a new museum not too far from home, and I hope you had a lot of fun making a craft with us. I know my kids had a great time, and they look forward to playing with their tic-tac-toe rocks for a long time. I'd like to let you know that the Kronau Heritage Museum, even though we are in our COVID-19 social distancing following that protocol, we are offering a lot of amazing activities and opportunities virtually. So our museum will be putting on various exhibits virtually, offering a lot of YouTube videos. And this summer we are offering kids day camps virtually. So for a very low cost, you can register your children. We are providing all the supplies you need to do the activities, and we'll even be live chatting with the kids to do some story time, some singing, and have a lot of fun. Please check out our Facebook page at Kronau Museum. You can also check out our website, KronauMuseum.com. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys, and be sure to leave some comments and reach out to us online. See you later.